Welcome into WagerTalk TV. I am Drew Martin, joined by Rob Vino and Tony Finn of WagerTalk.com. We're breaking down Big Ten Thursday night football, that is. We got a good one here. Robbie, coming to you first. Penn State versus Purdue, September 1st, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. -3, -3.5. That's the Boilermakers as the, that's Penn State as the road favorite. 52.5 being the total. What do you like in Penn State, Purdue, Rob?
Yeah, you know what, Drew? I'm going to talk a little bit. Of course, I like to talk about matchups, but let's talk a little bit about the play calling that'll happen in this game between coordinators. You know, and remember from last year, Drew, Mike Yurcich in his second year as offensive coordinator from Penn State, and we love him because of his famous quote, which says, "Calling plays get me off." So we like Mike Yurcich, formerly of Oklahoma State, formerly of Ohio State. And again, in his second year, you would expect this Penn State offense to increase. They've got a rebuilt offensive line. They've got a really good running back core now. Wide receiving core, I think, is going to be just fine. And it'll be interesting to see that matchup between Mike Yurcich and the new defensive play caller for Purdue, Ron English. Last year, Purdue went to 3 defensive coordinators, a 3-headed system. The guy who called plays last year was Brad Lambert. He moved on to Wake Forest to become DC. So now it's Ron English's job. Ron English, veteran coach, head coach, defensive coach, known to be a secondary coach. But I think that matchup is going to be really, really key here in this game. I would expect that Yurcich will be able to take advantage of a few things here. In specific, the Purdue defensive line, guys. George Karlaftis, first-round draft pick of the Kansas City Chiefs, gone. And Purdue gets these type of pass rushers once every now and again, but not consistently. And last year, if you played Purdue, you had to account for Karlaftis with a double team or some sort of blocking scheme, which really won't have to be done here. I think it eases up the burden on the Penn State offensive line. And when you factor in the RPO game of Penn State, plus the wide receiving core, I think they'll be able to move the football here. I really do. The other side of that coin is head coach Jeff Brom, pass-happy Purdue offense, Aiden O'Connell, who tore it up at the end of last season, and head coach Brom calling plays against Manny Diaz, the new defensive coordinator for Penn State. And I think what's interesting here in this matchup is the fact that Diaz is so blitz happy. He loves to blitz. And to me, Purdue is the type of offense, type of passing offense that can dissect these blitz packages. So I think it'll be interesting during the game to see whether or not Penn State decides to try and get into the backfield with just their down linemen. Got a really good pass rush coming back. 3 guys that didn't even play last year that would have been starters that will start this season. If they can get there without blitzing, and if Diaz can contain himself and not blitz, I think Penn State will be all right. But certainly that will be a key element in this game, which is a Purdue blackout. Obviously a Big Ten opener for both teams. It's non-divisional. That would be the only other thing that could make it even bigger is if it was division. I would say, in my estimation, that both of these teams should move the football, guys. I really don't understand the decrease in the total here. It's gone from 56.5 all the way down to 52.5. And for those who play a lot of totals, you know that counting backwards, 56, 55, 54, these are all key numbers that this game has crossed all the way down to 52.5. And now at this point, a 31-23 game, a 30-23 game cashes your ticket. I think there might be some value, some small value in that, being that I think both teams will move it. Purdue's not going to win a defensive slugfest here against this team. So they'll have to score. Last year, against offenses that were capable, Purdue gave up 33.5 points a game. Against bad offenses, they were brilliant defensively, so their numbers were somewhat skewed. I mean, 9 points to Illinois, couldn't play any offense, 0 to UConn, 20 to Minnesota, 7 to Iowa, bad offense, 14 to Northwestern, 7 to Indiana. That's a lot of games against really bad offenses with really good defensive numbers to somewhat skew things. I don't know Purdue's defense is as good as people think. I think Penn State will move the football. I think that air it out offense against Manny Diaz's defense. We'll have Purdue scoring points here. To me, 52.5 with no weather situation, guys. From what I saw, 70 degrees and 3-mile-an-hour winds. So a couple of slight leans. I didn't play either, but I think that I would lean over the 52.5 as this number creeps down. And I think I would lean Penn State -3.5. Just think they're the better team.
Tony, what are you liking in West Lafayette to kick off week 1 in the Big Ten?
Well, that's a really good job. That's a great breakdown. And some of the things that Rob went over there, I just go over a couple of those, and I think that would sum up this. And first and foremost, early in the season, college football, in NFL for that matter, key changes in personnel is important. Changes in coordinators, coaches, coordinators, the even more important to me, especially in the college realm, and that's there's coaches go from one scheme, a team goes from one scheme to another scheme to a coach's scheme. Does the personnel fit? Even if a personnel fits, guys, I typically like fading those teams. And while there's changes on both sides of the field in this game, Penn State has some changes that I'm not attracted to. You hear all I read, all I hear is, Tony, you can't like Purdue here because Penn State, they lost all these close games. They got unlucky. If you want to talk about losing close games, doing the same thing over and over, we have the insanity that Scott Frost brings to the field every single year. It's the same thing. Well, I'm not saying that Franklin's that, Penn State's that, okay? Franklin's been really, really good. I think they are 17-9 or 17-8 against the number as road favorites. But Jeff Brom's been pretty darn good too as an underdog at home. He's been, I think, 8-4. So in this situation, I really like the home dog. It doesn't have near as many changes, and this isn't going to be as predictable as Diaz has been, as Robbie talked about. In this game, the total speaks. The total would want to tell you the Sharps are playing this under Rob and Drew, and you have to respect that a little bit. And if they're thinking it's going to be a low-scoring game, then it's difficult for me. It's really difficult to like Purdue. I think if you're going to have a high-scoring game where Purdue's going to basically outscore or put more points up per possession, which I think they can do if they don't turn the ball over, especially. I think they win this straight up at home, and we're right back where we started with Penn State last year, and that is, man, they got unlucky. This didn't happen or that didn't happen, and they're better than this. They're a better team than Purdue. As college football, guys, best team doesn't always win, and I'll take the home dog in this situation.
That's Tony Finn. You heard from Rob Vino as well. Check them both out. WagerTalk.com. Free plays, premium plays, all available. Good betting information. Check it out, guys. College football is here. WagerTalk.com.